It's been a while since I've made a YouTube video, so I wanted to do one today just because I've been seeing more and more fakes on eBay lately, and I've been having friends show me a lot more fakes. I haven't been looking too much lately on eBay for coins, so I've missed quite a few, and so I'm glad that my friend Jesse alerted me to at least one of those a couple days ago. So it looks like our fake Galanos are back. We have these horrible fake Potosi Mint 8 Real Galanos, and these are back, and these show up, every so often they show up in the form of cobs. They show up in the form of silver bars stamped with these dies, and they show up as royals, and they sell for a mad amount of money, and sadly, they sell. That's what's scary about these. Now, I have reported these to the group. I'm hoping a friend of mine that I know that can actually get these taken off eBay will do that. The seller here is Gallery Fine Art. This guy's had multiple accounts over the years, and it's always the same crap. It's always this same crap made from the same garbage dies. So there's so many things wrong with this coin that it's ridiculous. I don't even know where to start. I actually own a 1683 8 Reals Galano. It's not the nicest specimen in the world, but it's actually kind of unique for, it's got a Guatemala counter stamp, and it's got this neat crack on it, which I've never seen before. So I'll show you a real one, and then I'm going to point out a few things on this coin that I just thought were really strange. But before I do that, let me just show you this coin, and I want to show you a couple things about it. Just want you to note this real quickly because it's very important. So we have the date of 8/3. You can see that this 8's a bit doubled here. It's the double-lined banner variety. There's two different reverse types for 1683 Galanos. And just for a fun fact, in 1683, the Potosi Mint only struck 1,600 some odd number Galanos, meaning that they struck them in 8, 4, 2, 1, and possibly even half reals. So that is the total number of Galanos that were struck in 1683. It is 1,600 something. I have the exact number somewhere. That's just what I remember off the top of my head. So it's hard to say how many are in existence today, but it's probably less than 58 Real Galanos exist today of this variety. Not many left. So we're looking at this, and there's just loads of stuff wrong with it. For one, this is ridiculous. The crown is ridiculous. Like this, all of this is ridiculous. Now I feel kind of silly because I can't remember if mine is a pellet or if it's a pomegranate, but I do believe this is actually supposed to be a pomegranate. So I'll pull up mine. And we'll take a peek at that. Maybe it is a pellet. Maybe I'm wrong. No, that's a pomegranate. It just looks funny, but it's a pomegranate. Pretty sure. Right here, and there's the little stem part of it. Should be another one. No, there wouldn't be. That's the only one. So okay, this is that same dye variety and this is mine. It's a little bit muddled here because of the counter stamp, but we can see right away a number of things that are very, very different. For example, the tops of these pillars. These flourishes here, these crowns, whatever you want to call them, these flourishes at the top of these pillars, for some reason they always make me think of like Mickey Mouse or something, like his gloves or his head, whatever. But if you can see, just by looking at it, like there's a number of things on here that stand out right away, showing that this coin is authentic. For example, metal displacement, the repetition of the exact same punches, that sort of thing. And on the obverse of this guy's coin, something really weird happens, and I'm going to get to that in a second here. But here you can see it's just like this V looks completely different. These two are completely different, and they should be identical. The L's should be identical. Looks like this is an L here too. I don't know why it says plus ulra, because this should be a T, not another L, but we have another L here. Yeah, this is goofy, man. This P has this super long line there, and this one doesn't. So my guess would be this coin was not cast. This was created from likely a 3D printer. Yeah, most likely done with a 3D printer, or it was done with a CNC milling machine. But yeah, it wouldn't have been 3D printed because these are hammer struck. What am I thinking? So yeah, this was created with some sort of milling machine. I keep thinking lately about the 3D printed Cobs. Like, for example, Pirate Gold Coin sells a lot of these 3D printed gold replicas, and they're ugly and they're garbage and they're muddled and they look like this. They have the same type of look. But yeah, like, I mean, none of this is right. So, ugh, what an ugly piece. So let me get to its obverse here. Now, this is one of the things that I noticed on this coin that I thought was really strange. Is that they, even though they're muddled, even though they're muddled, the lions are wrong. And I'll point that out first. So we have right here this lion, even though it's very muddled, this lion is actually the type of lion that was used from like 1689 through 93, I believe it was. Yeah, 93. And possibly on some 94s. I'd have to look to be 100% correct. But there's this type of lion that was used in Pedro de Villar's coinage, 1689 to the early 1690s, and that's what they were trying to put here. And it's funny because you can even see a little buck tooth on that lion type, the same shape, the same little marks to create the fur, same foot. That doesn't belong on a coin from 1683 because that punch didn't exist yet. So I actually have one of those. I'll pull a picture of it. 16898 reals. That's an old picture. It's not a very good one. Oh, here's one of my old ones. This is a coin I wish I'd never sold. That one sold and then popped back up in a Sedgwick auction, and I wanted it so bad, but the bidding went crazy. I'll never understand that, why people spend so much money through Sedgwick. And I may as well just leave it at that. I shouldn't say any more, but yeah. Cobs are a con artist game for sure. So this is the lion that I'm referring to. Yeah, they were trying to use this guy here, this buck-toothed style lion, as you can see. I don't know why it's doing that. Let me get rid of that, sorry. Go away. Now it's pulling up all this stuff I don't want shown yet. So anyway, wrong lion type. This is 1689, another one that I have, a really horrible picture. Sorry for the weird green colored picture of that coin. Get rid of it. So, and then we have the lion that's almost right up here. Almost. In fact, I don't even think that lion's correct now that I look at it. Yeah, that actually, it looks like it's mid. So, you know, what they may be doing is they actually may be using, because now that I think about it, they have other dates for these Galanos that they make, that they produce. And I'm thinking they just may use the same elements on the computer program or whatever. They may just go and say, okay, just put that lion there, the same lion from a certain date, and that's what's happening. This is weird, these bubbles. It's very strange. It's like, I don't know what's going on here. But yeah, the lettering, look at that lettering. It's awful. Everything about this is just awful. Awful, awful. No, like, real sharp 90-degree angles on it anywhere. It's just very bubbly. Like, that S is ridiculous. How come this P doesn't match that P? I mean, just really strange. The R's don't match. Like I said, that stuff should all match. Really, honestly, like the closest they got to anything was this right here, was this set of eyes. I don't even know what this is supposed to be. Like, L, is that supposed to be an S? I guess so, yeah. Anyway, so we've looked at this. This is fake. It's counterfeit. It's selling for $1,200. And these people that create these fakes are the same ones that bring us these. So you might recognize this die here. Remember that long part of the P here? Well, this is a fake silver bar. And this fake silver bar sold sometime last year for an absurd amount of money. But this is the exact same die. And somebody had just taken it and stamped it on a silver bar. And they sold these silver bars. They were doing them on these silver bars for a while. And they were selling because people thought they were old Spanish silver bars marked with like coin dies for some reason. And of all the Spanish silver bars I've ever seen that ever had an actual coin die stamp on it, was milled coinage, and it had like, it was a gold bar with I think it was like a pillar dollar or something on there to say how many pesos or whatever it was. But let me just back this up. I just want to show one more time here the reverse of it. This is pretty important. So yeah, one more time. That same long P, same ugly V. It's the exact same die. So yeah, just to show you that it's counterfeit, to show you another example of what these counterfeiters are doing. They're doing this as well. And I'll show you one more bar that they have sold. Here's another one. This one's slightly nicer. They did this with a Lima escudo. I believe it was escudos. Yeah, a Lima 1742 escudo die set. Is it's a little better in quality, but still very, very, very fake. But yeah, they struck it with this 8 escudo die on a silver coin for whatever reason. You can see here that it has the PVA, which is telling you it's gold, not silver. Lima being the only mint that struck pillar and wave gold coinage in this period, what they did was abbreviate plus ultra. So instead of it reading plus ultra across in the banner, it just reads PVA on all the denominations. So if you ever see a silver coin that is a Lima type and it just reads PVA and it's silver, it's fake. Just hopefully that helps. It's funny because I look up here at the crown, like on this right here, and this crown is completely wrong for this period. So they took an older crown from like the early 1700s and put it on there. That is not correct whatsoever. But yeah, man. And this red is just red buffing rouge. That's all that is. I recognize that from jewelry. I did jewelry for so many years. I recognize that immediately. It looks terrible, man. So anyway, just something to be aware of, and I guess more accurately to be aware of. Okay, so let's go to the other one that they have for sale, because there is one more. And I'm really curious to look at this one because now I want to know if the lions and the castles are actually the same as they are on the 1683. So we have a 1684. Same seller, Gallery Fine Art. And actually, you know what? If Glenn comes along and has these removed, I want to make sure I've got these. If I can at least get the damn picture to drag and drop into my fakes folder. I'm not sure if I've got this one in there yet or not. I don't know why it's not going. Anyway, here it is, a 1684 Potosi Galano, which is, again, fake. This one now showing VR. I'm snatching the pictures as we go along here. I've got folders of fake Cobs, like it's ridiculous, and one of these days I'll go through it all. But this one they put a hole in, trying to make it look a little more like authentic, I guess. So we have slightly different castles, and it looks like we have slightly different lions. Yeah, slightly different lettering as well. I'd have to have 1684 in front of me to kind of really look at this. But I do know in 1684, this assayer, Patriot VR, um, was still using. You know what's interesting? It's weird. It almost looks like it was struck and then cast. It's really strange. But this is actually these side angles. And I didn't even think of this, but this is actually really worth looking at here because look how high up this comes out, and they're all even. So yeah, this was definitely milled. Definitely milled. This almost looks like it's brass. Um, there's no metal displacement around any of these. None. But everything is the same depth. That was not ever accomplished by sinking dies by hand with punches. It just wasn't. Got those same ugly um, pillars that just don't look right. They just look so wrong. They look terrible. Let me see if I can pull up a 1684 Galano. Alright, so I'm wondering, if they just go and they find images online and are using those images to create their dies. Because that's really what it looks like they're doing to me. Because what we have here is a 1684 Galano right here. And we have that fake right there showing up. You can see that it's fairly similar, but it's not identical, but it's fairly similar. So I'm wondering if that's just not what they're doing, is they're just taking an image right offline and using that as their master. I don't know what you do. I think you turn it into like a vector art or something like that, and you go from there, I guess. I don't know. I don't use milling machines or anything like that, but yeah, this is the original. This is authentic, so we can see, repetition in the punches. Same castles, same lions, exact same tressors, the right type of tressor for a Galano type. The tressors on Galanos are the bracket type. So since our tressors are actually technically a barbed quatrefoil, these are more of the barbed type here. So it's interesting that they did this on these Galano issues, that they changed it to this. You don't see these on circulating issues except for some of the issues of Assayer Y in the early 1700s. So you might see it on like 1, 2, sometimes maybe a 4 real. Maybe even an 8 real you might see this type of tressor. But I've seen them on the lower denominations for Assayer Y in the early 1700s. It's pretty interesting. 1712, was it 1712 or 11? One of those two dates. I know that they used the bracket style on the lower denominations, but yeah, it's pretty much a royal / Galano feature. So we have this giant O, stands out. You can see it's a little bit warped here. Having studied Galanos like in hand, it's really interesting the way that they produce these. I'm almost 100% positive that the planchets were produced with a rolling mill. So they were able to roll out silver, and they were able to produce round planchets, and that's what they struck them on. Struck them either with some type of something, or they just carefully struck them, which is, I mean, you could do this by hand. You just rock the die. You would get your center strike and make sure the dies would stay locked in, and you slightly tilt the die to just get everything on there. And if you ever hold a true Galano, you can actually feel that it's a bit thinner on the outer edge, and then it gets thicker, and then it goes back to being thinner, and that's from die rocking. So what I mean by that is that the die was held and then slightly tilted just to get all these outer edge features on the coin. And it's likely why we have the doubling here. So yeah, this is an original, this is authentic, and then there's our fake. So let's go back to the fake, because I kind of want to move on from it. The pomegranate doesn't even look right. It's like, I don't know. It's terrible. Horrific. What a piece of junk. Scary because I'm going to show you something here that I just noticed is actually really funny. But it's scary because somebody, if this doesn't get taken down, somebody may buy this. And, yeah. Anyway, I don't know why this won't go away here. Looks like it says Carlos the Third. Stop. Keeps doing that for some reason, popping that up, but it's like 3 eyes. I don't know why. Yeah, okay, that's interesting now. Look at this. Yeah, see? Look at it's doubled, so it has 3 eyes. So yeah, this was most likely the master coin. They probably took this very coin and used this as the template for that fake. So yeah, this is most likely the culprit right here, is they use this. How strange is that? Anyway, moving on. Now, I wanted to show you another coin, and this one unfortunately sold. Bums me out because it sold for quite a bit of money. So I have to dig it up because it's in the watch list. A friend of mine was about to buy this coin, and I was like, don't. And thankfully he didn't, because it is a pretty horrible fake. And okay, so here it is. It's a 1650, 8 reals, Acer O, and also from the Potosi Mint. This one is a fairly, I don't know, fairly well-known fake. It's horrible. This one sold for just over $400 if you include the shipping. Pretty sad. Somebody spent $400 on this fake piece of crap. Now I have talked to this seller in the past when he first appeared and was first selling these fakes. This is about 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And what I did was I knew the coins were fake because what he was doing is he was listing one like this, and then he would have the exact same coin for sale as soon as that one sold. Sometimes he would actually have the same coin in his, if you would go into his seller's other items, you'd have the exact same coin. He had late series coinage of Carlos Johanna, 2 reals, 4 reals, and the 4 reals was an Acer O, and it had this line right through the Acer O. Very distinct. All his coins were very distinct, and they were always the pictures were always of the coins in his hand. And the seller's still around. He sells on different sites, and these coins are hammer struck. They look like, the dies to me look like they're either CNC'd or they're acid etched, one of the two. They're horribly done. I mean, the details are just ridiculous. It looks like those crappy fakes that the Chinese produce. They're just terrible. Nothing about this looks right whatsoever. Even the planchet looks ridiculous. No metal displacement. We have no repetition. So, of course, what I need to do is show an authentic 1650 to show you the difference. But I also need to show you another example of this particular fake. So first, here is this one. This one's a Galano, but the reason I'm showing it is just because it shows, you know, the coin in full detail. Now the standard circulating issues are a little different. They have the castles are a little different, and the lions might be a little different, but for the most part, this is pretty much exactly what the Rotus 8 reals look like from 1650. So. Yeah, you can see from the original just the difference. I mean, it's massive. So, for example, we have repetition of punches. So we have for our tressors, we have 2 punches. We have this one here, 1, and then we have this one here, 2. So that just repeats all the way around to create our tressor. So we can see that this one is the same as this one. This is the same as this. And even though they may appear a little bit different, that's simply because of strike, and it also may be because of some doubling on the dies or warping and or metal displacement. And a good example of metal displacement is this right here. So you can see that the tressor was put in before the cross. So when the cross was laid in, it made this arching part of the tressor warp a bit. So that's why it's not consistently the same size. It pinches in right here. It's because the metal was pushed. If you look right here, all around our elements, you can see where the metal was pushed away. And that's the big thing versus how these coins were created versus these garbage modern recreations. These garbage modern recreations are made through a number of different ways, but when they're made from dies, they're typically made from dies that were engraved, either CNC engraved or hand engraved or acid etched. It doesn't matter. The point is, metal was removed from those dies. No metal was removed from the dies apart from some filing on the die face on these dies. So if you took, like for example, an authentic die before any design was put on it and you put it on a scale, let's say it weighed, I don't know, 2 pounds exactly. It's going to weigh exactly 2 pounds when the die is finished and completed. You do that with a modern die that was engraved or CNC'd, it's going to weigh a bit less. Not a lot, but it will have a difference in weight. Not that anybody's weighing dies, but my point is simply that it's taking metal away. The metal displacement occurs, it's just like when you put your finger in dough or Play-Doh, something like that. The Play-Doh moves away from your finger. It creates like this, little, it comes up and creates kind of like a halo around your finger, which we can see like right here. That's exactly what happened right here. That's why we have this shadow. And so with Cobs and all these old coins that were hammer struck and hand sunk, the patina always sets into these little peaks and valleys and these halos because on the die they're actually sticking up out of the die, but when they transfer onto a coin, they transfer onto the coin as an impression. So this is like a deeper area. If this is our low relief here, this sinks down into, it goes down further. So that's what we're seeing around all the elements is that occurring, that metal displacement. And it's something that's very important to look for. Another thing that's really important to look for is, just standard things like scratches, like filing of the die. Sometimes they'll file away. You can see some file marks here, right here, right here, where they either were repairing something on the die or just getting the die face flattened out a bit, or removing some of the metal displacement because it can get messy. If there's too much metal displacement, you'll get these weird burrs. Sometimes it'll make it where the metal might fold back over into one of the impressions, so they might file it just to clean the die up so it continues to strike sharply. So anyway, yeah, most noticeable place to look for metal displacement is around anything round. You're always going to notice it around the round elements, straight lines, etc. It's very, very visible on those things. So the reason I'm pointing all that out on this coin is because when we look at this, there's absolutely none of that happening here. None of this looks right, obviously. And really what I should do is pull up a... actually, I'm not sure if it is going to let me go backwards. Let me see if I can't find another 1650 rounds. Oops. I want to find a standard circulation strike, hopefully one that doesn't have a counter mark on it, where it takes away too much of what we're looking for here. So here's a 1650 from iCollector. I don't want to have to go log in. Hopefully I'll just show the picture. Yeah, okay. So here's your standard castles. The lines are kind of skewed because of the counter mark there, but see all that metal displacement? Look at that. The other thing is you could run your finger over a cob and it's going to always feel smooth to the touch. It's never going to feel bumpy. You'll never really feel the elements on the coin quite like you would a coin that was engraved or where the metal was taken away. So yeah, circulating issue here. Just massive, massive difference on these coins. Same thing here. We have a slightly different tresor bracket on this one. And there's like, I'm laughing because it's childish me. I thought that was a penis. Anyway, yeah. Can see the filing marks underneath this. Yeah. So we haven't even looked at the other side of this coin. It's sad because somebody now owns this piece of junk. And you know, when I was reaching out to this seller originally, looks like they used the Galano crown. However, yeah, this is CNC'd. You can tell because that's a round bit from a CNC machine. Everything's got this kind of like rounded, bubbly look to it. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Man, I feel bad for whoever got this. Like this, it's just a piece of junk. So the other thing too, you know, when they hammer in the punches, you know, they're always going to be a different depth. And with engraving, the depth is typically always exactly the same. So that's why everything's really flat. Nothing's sticking out. This one's not a little, like this P's not a little bit deeper than this one, for example, or this lion is not a little bit deeper than this one. These aren't even birds. These are just like, I don't even know what these are, like diamonds. Like, that is ridiculous. Like, really? Can we get back to that that Galano? Because that one really shows it's too early. It's not it. Where'd it go? Just want an example of the birds. Eagles, I guess I should be saying. And the Naples and Sicily portion of the shield. So yeah, you can see that they're birds. I mean, they're not struck very well, but maybe I'm wrong. He didn't use the Galano crown. I guess he used the standard crown. I think. Or is the crown completely wrong? Well, we have that one. It still doesn't look right though. It looks like it's almost like like it's mixed and matched. It's really bizarre. Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on it. The point is that this sold. If you know the buyer or are the buyer, get a refund immediately. I looked at this seller's account. I don't think this seller knew it was fake. Maybe he did. You know, I know that there are sellers that end up with fakes, and they sell them, believing that they're authentic. But I also know that there's quite a bit of sellers that get a coin like this and they go, "Oh shit, this is fake. I better get rid of it because I can't get a refund." So yeah, if you bought this coin, this sold on May 31st, 2019, at 7:52 p.m. from Bemby64, and it came from Puerto Rico, and it's very, very fake. So, like I said, this seller sells these on other websites. So here's another one. This is on To-Do Collection. Same exact 1650 Potosi mint counterfeit. But this one is not a Galano. This one is just a standard strike. But yet, they are identical. And as I mentioned, typically your Galano dies are different than standard circulation dies. Not that they didn't use the Galano dies for some standard circulation cob coinage, but yeah, I mean, this is terrible. This is like, it's like they tried to make this look like a cortada, like a clip. You know what I mean? This doesn't look like a real cob at all. This is just weird. So, yep. They appear on other websites. I'm trying to see how much they're selling this for. Looks like this one sold. That sucks, man. I'd have to log in here to see what it sold for. Let me see. I'm just curious. Never mind. Stop. Okay, so it sold for 128 euro, so like $143 US. That's too bad. And that's too bad. This may actually be the guy that produces them. I'm not sure. It's very similar to the pictures that the original seller sold. But this says it sold in 2018, so it's a little while ago. Still, I want to see if I can't find some of his other offerings. I'm trying to figure out, like, it doesn't show me who the hell this seller is. It might not be on here anymore. Well, that's a shame. Too bad. These are both just go here and browse through it and take pictures if they need to. especially if you've gotten a fake from somebody and you need to show them other examples, especially with cast copies. That's the easiest to prove because the coins are identical. Um, so with these, it can be a little harder because there's some very stubborn sellers. But anyway, now this one was actually brought to my attention. This one's sold on eBay. I haven't found the listing for it yet, so I don't know what it's sold for, but I do believe it's sold for over $100 or so. If I remember, Jesse said it was like maybe up to 170, or was it 70 or something like that when he was looking at it. So I don't know. It's a 4 reals, and it is absolutely fake. Now the funny thing is, there's a picture of the original coin on Numista and on some auction websites. So I have a picture of the original and this cast coin. So, you know, it wouldn't be too hard to find who likely, you know, cast this coin, made these replicas. I don't see any markings on them whatsoever. I don't see any kind of copy mark on this, so I don't believe it was copied for jewelry, for sale purposes like they do with, you know, a lot of coins. A lot of companies are taking real coins and casting them and making jewelry out of them, and doing it the right way, which is fine with me. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with people selling replicas for replicas, but I don't like counterfeiting. That's where I get really pissed off. I also don't like people that lie about coins. That's another thing that drives me bonkers. Putting false pedigrees on them and shit like that. Like that drives me nuts too. So right away we can see a number of things wrong with this. Like the details here on the obverse are very muddled. And to really bring that out and to just show you how good casting can actually be, because my friend was, you know, like, well, how could the cast be cracked? Well, cracks can be cast. Like I don't know how to explain this, but the way casting works, the old-fashioned way, the most common way things are cast are by using these like molds. They're kind of like a rubber that goes into a vulcanizer, which you take the original coin like this, you put it in there, you sandwich it between these layers of this like rubber, and it goes into a vulcanizer, and then that rubber melts around the coin under pressure. It's being pressed and melts, and then when it comes out, you cut it open and you have this like this mold, and then you inject wax into it, and it makes a perfect copy. However, when it goes to the casting investment, that's where people tend to lose a lot of detail and get the bubbles on the coins, like the bubble marks and whatnot. The wax and the rubber mold part itself are where we lose the weight of the original coin. So if it's an 8 reals that weighs 27 grams exactly, because of the shrinkage of the rubber molds, you're going to lose weight on the coin as well as size. So the actual coin will shrink a tiny bit and lose up to a gram or so in weight. So that's where that comes from. And then like the bubble holes and just that muddy look comes from the casting investment. So if somebody doesn't have the right equipment, it can be a really bad casting, but if they have really good equipment, it can be a very good casting. And I've seen some castings that are exceptional. They look so real, it's very hard to tell. Really, the two things that give them away are the patinas and the tone of the cast copies. Cast copies always sound perfect. They sound like a brand new minted silver dollar. If you flip them, they just ping beautifully, whereas real cobs, they don't always ping. I've had many cobs over the years that have zero ping whatsoever, and they're absolutely genuine. It's just the method of the manufacture of the coinage. You know, the hammering of the blank planchets, breaking down that structure, that crystalline structure of the silver in the coins, and then striking them can make it where they just don't have much of a ping whatsoever. It's interesting. So anyway, I'm trying to find. Let's go here. We'll start here since we have these two pictures here. So we have the reverse here. We can see that the crack was cast, but you can see where it fills in right here. So this is actually not the full crack. This is filled in. But if we look here, we can see how muddled it got. We can see some of these I call these innies and outies, the types of bubble holes. So we have a lot of innies here. Now, the innie type bubble holes are from the wax, the hot wax. If it's too hot, a lot of the times you'll get like things that are popping. Like I said, you got to be really good at casting to make a really good cast. But if we look right here, it's hard to see, but just right there, you can see that denticle on this coin right there. Right there, when this was in the wax form, the bubble here had a little bit of air and it popped. That's why there's that little dimple there. And you'll see that a lot on cast copies. So you'll see, like, just little areas where the wax was still hot and air was escaping and it was popping as it was bubbling. And yeah, that's where it comes from. So yeah, you can see like just how horrible this looks. The castle's looking just completely wrong in comparison to the original. So look how sharp this is. Very, very, very different. And then you can see that this crack runs right on up through here. You know what would actually be really funny is if this was a cast copy too. Honestly, that's the problem that you get with casting real coins, is that the originals always are suspect. And I actually didn't even think about actually looking at this coin closer to see if this actually might have been a cast copy as well, because it could very well be. I don't actually know yet. I just assume this is the original since it was from the auction house. Where it is? Oh shit! Don't tell me I lost the picture of it. So anyway, here on this obverse scan, look at this lion. Look at the details. Just look at this real quick. It's an over ass here. It looks like, by the way, it looks like it's an R over B maybe. I'm not really that familiar with this mint, but we've got this like blob right here. Okay, and there's like no patina on this coin either. That's the other thing that's really weird. There's like some green goo on it, and that's about it. Okay, so here is the obverse of the original. Look at the difference, at least in the detail. God, you know what? It's. I gotta tell you guys, I'm not kidding. Like I'm feeling like, it sucks. This is why you shouldn't cast real coins. Like I don't know if this is genuine. Like I don't know. I'd have to look at the auction listing. I'm looking for problems. So instead of like analyzing this photograph, I have other things to do today. And I'm gonna go do them. If I will study this when I get home, because like I'm seeing like right here, see these two holes, like that's bothersome to me. That's not right. That's not right. And I'm looking at this, like that looks funny to me. Like I was thinking that the mint mark looked weird too, to be honest, but you can see it here again. Which can always just be wear, but the other thing that I thought, it's just the patina just looked a little weird to me as well. So it's hard to say. This could be a fake as well. I'm going to rule this right now as possibly fake. It's hard to say, but what I wanted to point out is there's two of them. That's the most important thing, is that there's two of these coins. And it's just one to look out for. If it shows up, God, I'm seeing all kinds of things with this that are really bothering me right now. Anyway, that will conclude this video. It's probably run pretty long, so if you watched all of this, right on. I know I ramble. So yeah, this 1683 is completely fake. This Pistareen is it's maybe not this one, but that other one for sure. Keep an eye out for this one. 1683, 4 reals, R over whatever the acer is, with a crack here. Yeah, there's more than one copy. That's kind of the point. So if you want more videos on fakes, let me know, and I'm happy to make them. Yeah, I was going to try to buzz through this folder real quick, just to kind of see if anything else would pop up of interest. Seems like I screenshotted all this. I try to capture every single fake. What I would like to do is with the Google Drive account is to have it where I can upload every single picture of every single fake that I have. And what I would really like is for other people to upload to that folder as well. So if you have pictures of known counterfeits, to upload those pictures into the exact same folder. That way, I'm able to see new things as well as you and other people. Because, like I said earlier, like it's kind of become my motto. Like, Cobs are a con artist game. It sucks, and it's kind of why I've backed off from it a bit. It's not that I don't love the coins. I got frustrated with looking on eBay, and I definitely won't be buying from certain auction companies anymore, even though they're supposed to be the best at what they do. Because it's another topic I'll leave for a private conversation. I don't want to get myself in any trouble, but yeah, just beware, know your coins. Like, really, really know your coins, and as well as certificates, stuff like that. So anyway.